more you tried to love them and the more you felt yourself losing yourself in them, the more they pulled away and the more and more you lost yourself. So it's almost like you're changing yourself, losing yourself, trying to get closer to them and they're moving further away. So it's almost like a chase in a relationship. It's because you are the anxious attacher and they are the avoidant, emotionally unavailable attacher. And you're pushing for it, trying to love them, trying to get them to trust you. And you're just losing yourself because you're fighting a losing battle. You can never battle someone for their heart. You can never battle someone for they act right or for them to treat you right. That's not a battle you have to fight. And you have to realize that this man has probably more than likely made you feel like you have to fight for that. Because more than likely they were super duper duper charming in the beginning and just swept you off your feet. They're good at that. They're good at the beginning parts and being Mr. Casanova, Mr. Charmer, sweet talker. They're really good at that. So yeah, you fell for it. And so now that you've fallen for it and now that you all are deep in this connection, he don't know how to act. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? And then you can't help but start down the path of losing yourself because you're trying to get back that version you saw in the beginning.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey, girlfriends. It's your girl, mindset and intuitive coach, Kindall D, back with the Hey Girlfriend podcast. And I'm pretty tired. I'm so sorry that I haven't done an actual video on YouTube. I got some new ideas I want to do, and I would like to do more YouTube videos. I actually like to do that, but y'all, I just ain't had the energy or time lately. Work has been busy. Like my actual 9 to 5 is kicking my ass, and I'm just tired. Like I'm very drained. I almost didn't do this podcast today, but I promised myself that I would do the least, even if I couldn't do the most or do my best, I would at least try. So I made a promise to myself to stay consistent and just try to push through as best as I can. And that's what I'm doing. So I find that you all listen whether I do a video or not. So I'm like, the least you can do, Kendall, is give him a video because I still love to give out this information. And I just be so tired. It's hard doing both, but God granting, I don't have to do both for much longer, and I can just work on this, my brand, and that's it, and make plenty of money to live off of. That's me manifesting. But without further ado, I just had to give a little background story. So if I sound a little tired today, I am. I'm really sleepy. It's 11:52. I need to be in bed in about an hour. So, but I wanted to get this information out because I don't know. It seems to kind of go along the lines of what we've been talking about for the last 2 podcast episodes, talking about how you don't need male validation and how to find validation in yourself. So I was thinking, as I was coaching someone that lost herself in a relationship, in a man, and she's trying to figure out who the hell she is, without one and without him, and who is she moving forward. And I'm like, you know what? I've been there before. I'm thinking to myself, like, sometimes you don't even realize you are losing yourself in the man. Like, when you're in the relationship at that time in your life, you don't think that I'm losing myself, or you don't think that you're really doing anything wrong. Even if it doesn't necessarily feel right, you're just trying all you can. You feel like that holding that relationship together is like dependent on your life almost. Like you just have to make it work. And you don't even really know why deep down, or you're not even really thinking about why you're doing this or behaving this way. You're just in the now. You like trying to make it work. And so you're losing yourself trying to be who you think this man needs you to be in order to make this relationship work. You're trying to be who you think you need to be in order for him to start treating you right, for him to change, for him to act different, for you to get maybe consistency, for you to get the commitment you've been looking for, for you to get whatever it is you want out of this man in this relationship. You find yourself losing yourself because you're either trying to match his temperament and match whatever he wants. Like if he's emotionally unavailable, then you put up your emotions because you want to be able to relate with him. It's all about him and not your needs, not what you want, none of that. You find yourself slowly losing yourself more and more as you're trying to basically pour into this relationship and pour into this man because you feel like it's so important for you to have this relationship. And then it happens. In the end, after all that is over, you're left without a relationship, without that person you worked so hard for. You're left without the man. He's probably going all off into the sunset with some other woman probably, or doing whatever. And it's like, just so fuck me and what I tried to do and what I poured into you. I've been there. And it's like, I literally watched my ex ride off into the sunset with some other woman that was never there for him like I was. Some new woman that came along and he decided he wanted to be with. And that was his thing though. He always did that. His relationships always overlapped with women. So during that time, I felt like I was the problem. Or I kept putting it all on me like I need to do enough, I'm not doing enough. And he made me feel like I was the problem. And I put him on a pedestal. Like he was just really something to have. And really it was the inconsistent behavior that kept me so confused and bound to him. Because I'm like, why don't you love me? And I'm pouring all of this into you. And so I was slowly losing myself in him. And it's like, it's crazy looking back because you don't realize you're doing all of that. And so I literally watched him ride off into the sunset and he was with some other woman. And I remember being so torn because I'm like, I did all of this for you. I was there for you. I mean, y'all, it's so much to this story. I'm holding off on some of it because I'm supposed to be putting it in my book and I want to not spoil it so that people can read it and enjoy it and not be spoiled by what happens already. But this is part of with Sebastian that I'm working on. And I'm trying to find the time to work on that book as well. I was really headstrong earlier this year, but this job has tired me out. So y'all just pray for me. Just send your love and healing and whatever I need this way. I appreciate you listening and being here. But yes, I'm saying it. Like, just keep supporting. I appreciate it. Just send your good vibes, light, peace, all that this way. Because I really want to get so much done. But I'm just like, I don't know if I have the energy or time. But anyway, let's get back on subject. So, here I am, not ended up with this guy that I poured myself into. And I'm like, who am I without him? So, life after him was like all over the place. Yeah. It was all over the place because I'm like, I knew who I was to a degree, but it's like, okay, I lost so much of myself in that relationship because I spent so much time trying to get him to change for me. I'm trying to figure out who I am without having a romantic partner. I'm trying to just find my way. And so I'm here to tell you that finding yourself after losing yourself in a man does not have to look one way. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be full of just you getting everything right. It's literally going to be you falling down, getting back up, making mistakes, dating, maybe falling for someone that's almost like your ex, and you're trying to pass the test and not fall for it again. Doing another fuck up, falling for someone that's similar like that, or just, you're gonna find yourself going through ups and downs. It's not going to be just an easy road. And I think a lot of people tend to feel that way after, heartbreak and love trying to find themselves, that it's going to be just all roses and that it shouldn't be filled with any mistakes, and you start judging yourself and not having the same compassion that you once had for him. And that's something that I point out to everyone I coach, everyone on my platform. I'm like, so how come you can't love yourself, understand yourself, have so much compassion for yourself, hold so much space for yourself like you did for him? You were able to lose yourself in someone by being too understanding of their shit that was actually hurting you, and trying to basically bend yourself into someone that could, I guess, relate with him and that could be with him. You had to change who you were to try to be with them, and lost yourself. And then you wonder why they can just drive off into the sunset with another woman. That's because they ain't did nothing wrong. They don't feel like they did anything wrong. They don't feel like anything is wrong with them. You know, they are not caring about their healing. They are not heartbroken because they are the ones that's doing the heartbreaking. They're the ones with all the trauma. They're the ones that have so much trauma built up, so much fear in love, and so much fear in just being emotionally available and vulnerable. They have so much fear in that they can't open up to you. And the more you try to love them and the more you felt yourself losing yourself in them, the more they pulled away and the more and more you lost yourself. So it's almost like you're changing yourself, losing yourself, trying to get closer to them, and they're moving further away. So it's almost like a chase in a relationship. It's because you are the anxious attacher and they are the avoidant, emotionally unavailable attacher. And the more you try to love them, the more it triggers them and the more they run away. Or the more they hurt you. Or the more they do just dumb shit. Or the more they just don't open up and they get more afraid of it. And you're pushing for it, trying to love them, trying to get them to trust you. And you're just losing yourself because you're fighting a losing battle. You can never battle someone for their heart. You can never battle someone for they act right or for them to treat you right. That's not a battle you have to fight. And you have to realize that this man has probably more than likely made you feel like you have to fight for that. Because more than likely they were super duper duper charming in the beginning and just swept you off your feet. They're good at that. They're good at the beginning parts and being Mr. Casanova, Mr. Charmer, sweet talker. They're really good at that. So I tell my ladies all the time, who would blame you for falling for that? Quit acting like that you're some kind of weak girl or crazy girl, or that you have low self-esteem, low self-worth. Maybe some of those things are true, but think about it. Someone that pretends very well in the beginning, and you've never had someone pretend like that or be that into you or be that attracted to you, act like they want you like that. And then don't let them be spoiling you. Don't let them actually taking you on dates and doing the nice stuff, because there are guys that do nice things for you, but still don't have the emotional capacity and intelligence to be in a relationship. And so, yeah, you fell for it. And so now that you've fallen for it, and now that you all are deep in this connection, he don't know how to act. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? And then you can't help but start down the path of losing yourself because you're trying to get back that version you saw in the beginning. And now you find yourself romanticizing them, idealizing them, thinking about who they could be if they just changed, because you've seen the glimpse of them in the beginning and you're like, this is who they could be. But you have to understand that once you begin to love someone, it can bring out the worst in them. In the beginning, it's not really necessarily love. It's just infatuation. It's just, I'm excited to have someone new. I'm excited to like this person. I'm excited to, just have some type of compatibility with this person. I like the chemistry. That's the easy stuff. Like once you really get in and then of course you fall in love with that, it's hard sometimes for a man to maintain that because they're not ready for the deep shit like most women are. Not saying that all women are, we're just all perfect and emotionally mature. Not saying that. But a lot of us already have the idea that we want a relationship, we want connection, we want a commitment, we want longevity, and we want marriage. We have that mindset already. Most men do not have that mindset, and they're not thinking about marrying. Some, not saying they don't want marriage, but they're not out here building their whole lives around getting a woman and getting married. Some are. Don't get me wrong. There may be some out there that were raised like that or may have some of the same issues that us women have. But what I'm saying is the majority. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The majority. They don't have that in their head like that to just go for a commitment. And so now they don't know how to act that someone actually loves them. And next thing you know, you're finding yourself losing yourself in them. So that's typically how it happens. I don't want you to shame yourself. I want you to take this moment now to forgive yourself for losing yourself in a man, for losing yourself in a relationship, for wanting a relationship more than you wanted your own self-love or self-respect, and not using that to guide you. You know, because a lot of times how we as women are programmed from I feel like birth on is that we're programmed to and socialized to go out, find a good man, have a relationship, date, marry, have kids. You know, we're socialized to be that way. No one has ever challenged the thought that what if we just did not date? What if we just did not try to find a man? What if we just did not try to be married and have a kid? What if we enjoyed our lives? What if we did what we wanted to do? What if we did not center our whole lives around finding a man, settling down, and being a wife and a homemaker and bearing children? Now, I'm not saying that those are bad things and you shouldn't want them. I'm saying, why can't those things be a result of you living your life for you? And it's because no one has ever told us that we can do it that way. No one has ever said that, ladies, you can live your life, find yourself, discover yourself, do all of that and be all about you and center yourself in your world and still attract the men, the relationships, whatever it is you want out of life to you. That will be attracted to you and can be a result of you pouring yourself. No one has ever made us believe that and made us feel that way. It happens for men that way. Like the good men that, you know, are told to go out, get a good job, work hard, be ambitious, you know, take care of a family, build a family, do this. You know, they're told to do that. And so they go out and, you know, they're working for themselves, finding jobs they love, fucking up. You know, if they don't find a job they love, finding another job. Even messing with women and deciding they don't want to be women, rejecting women, dating. They're doing all of that and also maintaining their own sovereignty. They're also maintaining their own anatomy even. They're maintaining themselves. They're still centering themselves and what they want. And they're still going for what they want. And everything else is just going to be attracted to it, including the woman one day and then the kids and the family. So why can't women do it? Just because we can. And so something that I found after my last toxic relationship at 29 is that I realized that it's time for me to just really make my own rules. It's time for me to abide by what feels right for me. It's time for me to do me. It's time for me to really see how I like being alone. It's time for me to do what I like to do. It was just time for me to just do me however that may look. And during those times, you know, I did mess up. I did go back to an ex. I did date the wrong guys. But I learned. The thing is, we haven't had time to actually live and fuck up. You know? We may have just been straight from the beginning, the get-go. Gotta get a man, find a man. You know, not really living our lives. And so that's something you have to realize is that you may find yourself lost. You may find yourself out there not really knowing who you are. You may find yourself confused. And that's really all a part of the journey. I don't want you to feel like that there's some type of destination that you get to and you're like, I found myself. It's really you're always discovering yourself. And that's why I feel like it's okay to be a little lost. It's just you keep going and you keep uncovering ground. And so I want you to implement that into your life. Don't just read self-help books. Don't just listen to self-help podcasts. Don't just, do the self-help thing. Or if you do it, do a percentage of it and then do a percentage of things that's just about you. It's also about you just living. read some fiction books. I found that picking up fiction books helped me a lot. And this is me recently, like within a year or so. I was all about the self-help books, increasing my knowledge about my brand and what I do. And then I thought back and I'm like, I miss reading really good fiction novels, like really good black authors and good fiction novels. Like, I really miss that. So I started it, found some good books, and I don't know, it expanded my mind and it reminded me of how much I love, like, disappearing into another world for a moment reading. And so that's what I mean. It's in the little things that you do that you'll start finding yourself and what makes you happy. I want you to realize in those moments when you're doing something that's solely for you, how good it makes you feel. And then continue to do so. So, in the midst of the madness of you trying to discover yourself and maybe being a little lost, all of that is okay. It's going to be like a beautiful mess, so to speak. It's what I like to call it. That's what I feel like it was for me. It was just me just trying to figure some shit out. Like, one of the main things I figured out in trying to find myself was like, it had to do with how soon I should have sex with a man. And this is just an example I want to give really quickly here. This kind of goes with you trying to create your own wisdom, and you learned it by messing up, falling down, getting up, trying again, trying something else. That's all part of discovery. And so I discovered that I'm not the type that has to be celibate in order to find, quote unquote, the right man. They like to push that on women, is that take your time, be celibate and all of that, which is fine, don't get me wrong. But that's not a one size fit all. So what it's all about is finding yourself, is discovering what you need to do for you in order to get you to a better place. Being celibate did not work for me. It actually went against me and what I was looking for. I found that I don't get attached to sex like that. I just don't. I never have. I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm telling you my story. For me, sex was like a prerequisite into deciding if I wanted to continue dating you or not. Because I had a mishap with someone where I almost, started to wait with them and to just try it later and see if we get into a relationship. Because he was a nice guy. I'm like, I'm just trying to see how this is going to go. I'm not giving myself to anyone. Let's be in a relationship and all of that. We never got in a relationship. We had just dated like a few times, and it went there. And it came back from there really quickly because the sex was not good and he could not perform. I just leave it leave it like that. And so I'm like, I ain't going through this again. This is not okay. This is weird. No. I'm like, okay, no. So I had to figure something else out. This is you finding yourself. And so for me, it was discovering that, wait a minute, I've never gotten attached during sex. It was never that made me crazy. It was the emotional connection that made me crazy. It was me trying to change a man that made me crazy. It was me finding a man that I had to fix that made me lose myself, not sex. And so once I discovered that helped me to discover other aspects of me in my dating life. And so you see, I would have never found that out unless I got out there, fucked up, messed up, made a mistake. I said I was going to be celibate, then I ended up not being celibate, messed that all up, didn't go as planned, and bam, look what I came out with, more wisdom and what worked for me, and bam, it worked out for me. So that's what I want you to do. Go out there. Don't be afraid to just try some things. Don't be ashamed that you make the same mistake again. Pick up, learn from it, understand that it's a part of a journey, it's trying to teach you something. It's okay. There was no one else around to teach you this. And really, if anyone taught you this, would you have listened? Or would you have gone and did your own thing and learned on your own way because you're going to do what you feel you got to do? And it's better sometimes if you figure it out and discover it on your own than someone telling you. And so it's best sometimes to just let life be its teacher. And just let the curiosity guide you. And just be okay if you did it wrong. It's not okay to just not do anything and just stand there because you're crippled in fear, afraid of what's next or what's going to happen next or how you're going to move forward or if you make a mistake or how it's going to go. Just try something. If you fuck up, it is okay. Pick yourself back up, learn from it, and keep moving. This is how you find yourself. This is how you discover yourself. This is how you discover what you need. And this is not just about finding yourself so that you can find a better man. This is about you building the relationship with yourself so you have a better connection with yourself and you are centered in yourself. Once you are centered in yourself, who's for you will be attracted to you, and you will no longer be attracted to the ones that aren't good for you. You will no longer view it as quote unquote rejection. Not saying it won't hurt because damn, somebody I like didn't choose me, but you would then realize that you just don't want anyone that's not for you anyway. And then even if you fall and you get hurt again in that, maybe hurt a different way, or you thought that you followed the rules, you did better than last time, and it happens again, that is okay as well. It's trying to teach you something. And so just take the time, get to know yourself on this path, on this journey, and realize that's where it's all leading to. Sometimes we just don't have the book of how to get this shit done, and we have to go out there and do it ourselves. And so if you are struggling with trying to find yourself after losing yourself in a man, I want you to just realize that that is just the beginning. And that is not such a bad thing that you're struggling to find yourself. That means that you're trying, and that means you're just trying to go down the path and discover who you are. And you're not going to discover it in the love of another man. You're not going to discover it in a man's validation. I'm not saying you can't discover it in a healthy relationship with someone, but you really have to really build that healthy relationship with yourself first. Because once you are more understanding of who you are more understanding of who is not for you and who is, and what you want and don't want. So that component goes with it. But the key to never losing yourself again in a man or relationship is finding yourself. Once you find yourself, you're not going to want to lose yourself again. You're going to be so full of yourself that you're like, I'm not losing myself again in anyone, because I found this beauty in myself and in my life. And I've discovered, what's for me. I've let all of the wrong ones lead me to the right one. And it's just all about growing. Like, that's something I had to realize as well. Like, all of those exes from my past that I had that weren't right for me, that were really toxic, bad relationships, I don't regret them at all. Because I realized during those times in my life, I was really a younger version of me that didn't even know about who I was. I just wanted a relationship. And that was just who I was then. And that's what I attracted then. And so I had to go through that to realize what I don't want, and to realize more about myself and about what I do want in a relationship and what I won't tolerate again. And so it's like, I guess I had to lose myself in that way in order to realize that I need to find myself. So I want you to understand that finding yourself is not going to be just pretty picture and that you're going to get it right every time. This is your chance to fuck up and learn. This is your time to gain your own wisdom. Like, a lot of you always talk about, how do you have so much wisdom? Fucking up, okay? That's how. And learning from my own mistakes. Not letting someone teach me their wisdom. I had to learn my own wisdom. I had to make my own rules and decide what's best for me. You can do that. You can center yourself and be all you need, and let what's for you just attract to you. And then what's not will just be basically move away from you. Okay? So I want you to do one thing. If not one thing, maybe more than one. But start with one thing. Do one thing that's solely for you. One thing that's solely that you like to do. Don't think about if it's right or wrong. Don't think about, the self-help aspect of it. Whatever it is, do it. And once you do that one thing, you'll realize how good it makes you feel. And you'll find that you want to do more and more things that's for you. And whatever it is you've been wanting to do but afraid what people will say or think, do that too. If you've been afraid of kind of like trying something new because you're afraid what someone will say, do it. Start really validating yourself in that way and doing what works for you. That's how you start. And finding yourself through basically the madness and the fuck ups and learning from it and learning more about yourself. Okay? So that's really all I got for this podcast episode today, girlfriends. As you know, you can check out my bonus content on patreon.com/I've been that girl. Go to my website, I'veBeenThatGirl.net, for everything else, books, coaching, all that good stuff. And coaching is on Patreon. So, until the next time, peace out.